Yeah, they should. I think
Like
there
that?
is.
Oh yeah.
If you're the host, I think you can.
Is there?
Twitch is gonna
I did it.
quit stealing the control.
So Ivan, you can check on top, like if you hover over it.
Yeah, if you hover over it.
What the hell is that?
That'd be a child.
No wonder your tracking's dog shit. Look how you write.
Yeah. Dude, I got a shaky ass hand. That's why I hate his scan.
It's probably why he plays Junkrat.
That's why I play projectile, because I'm more better at prediction than fucking.
Better?
Yeah, it's more better.
In English, I'm good. Shush it.
I am the bestest, goodest there ever was.
Why is it flashing?
Alright.
I wanna be the very best.
Gonna be back any second.
It's flashing at me. Why is it flashing?
I want to be the more bestest.
It's flashing.
It's flashing for me too.
That no one ever were.
What? Stop it.
To catch them
Gaming
ammo.
ping.
my
All
real
you
test.
dumbasses have clicked on it so many goddamn times, the fucking thing doesn't know what to do.
I didn't click on it once until when I had control of it last. That was it.
Stop.
And then it started flashing at me.
Stop
Sorry.
clicking
Sorry,
the
my
flag.
Sorry, I had to leave. My head hurt.
I haven't touched it.
These idiots.
We're all fired.
It says I am controlling it, but it's still flashing.
It's not
Stop.
flashing for me. Now it's
Stop
flashing.
clicking it.
I'm not clicking it.
I think if we refresh,
I'm refreshing
Yeah,
mine right now.
yeah, I'm gonna refresh it as well.
You retards actually broke the visor.
Okay, sorry. Decided that water is going to be a Jack and Coke, so.
That's fine.
You're probably gonna need it.
These
Yeah.
these
Great
fucking
idea, actually,
these fucking foreheads decided that they were gonna break the fucking visor session.
Very
No,
nice.
I have full control over it now.
I'm very disappointed in all of you.
Here, let me see. Let me make sure it's. Nay, it's working.
There. Okay. Nobody touch it.
Okay. Visor has been extremely weird today, so yeah, definitely don't grab control unless you have to.
Don't be a window licker for like 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Who uses
See.
Discord overlay? Holy shit.
Yeah, there it is. It's already bugging.
So since this is OD, they only let us record from player perspective. So yeah, so some of the stuff might be a little difficult.
Okay.
But
That's fine. So just for preface, obviously a new patch is out recently. People are realizing that goats is not the only thing you have to play anymore, which is nice. You can play triple DPS, quad DPS, 5 DPS. You can play quad DPS with no tank and a Mercy Moira. You can play triple tank.
We actually just got wrecked by that.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I have a lot of teams running that right now. In tier 3, you can play triple tank with Winston, Hamster Diva, and a Mercy, or a Mercy Moira, or a Lucio Mercy, or a Lucio Moira. And that's what counters quad DPS and what counters that Orisa strat you guys have probably seen, where they put an Orisa and like 4 DPS behind it and a solo heal Mercy. That gets wrecked by triple tank because nothing on triple tank is one shot by their Orisa packs. You kind of just land on them with a damage boosted Winston or damage boosted Hamster, and they take too much damage because they're all in one little clump and they die. So the meta is really diverse right now. I would call it rock paper scissors because there's a ton of comps you can play. You kind of just have to pick what favors your team the most. So like let's say your team can't play triple DPS or quad DPS. That's fine, right? Because you can still play goats, or you can play triple tank in some cases. Or let's say your team can play quad DPS really well, then you can play that pretty often on maps like Koth and on Capture, right? Where you only have to win one fight, or Koth where you want to win multiple fights, but you can afford to lose some every now and then. Whereas you compare like 2CP, you can't really afford to lose a 2CP defense, right? Your goal in 2CP defense is to win every fight. Obviously that's the goal for every game mode, but in 2CP, losing one fight is crucial. And comps like quad DPS that have no defensive ultis, while they'll do very well very often, there are going to be a lot of fights where you're at a disadvantage. So it favors things like Koth, and it favors things like Capture, where you're attacking the enemy team's point, because it's a very good comp for countering certain things like goats or countering bunker, but it's not consistent enough to be able to 100-0 the enemy team. So give me 2 seconds. Try this one more time. Can Can you guys relink the VoD one more time on the visor?
Who was it?
It's Bibs. I'm assuming the quad DPS are really mobile DPS.
Yeah, well, it kind of depends, right? So, you want to be able to match your team's hero pool. If you have one player on a hero, they just can't play at all. It's kind of not worth it, right? So you'll see a lot of like Widow, Hanzo, Pharah, Tracer, Widow, Hanzo, Pharah, Soldier, Widow, Hanzo, Soldier, Sombra.
Make sure with,
You'll generally always have double sniper, and then you'll most of the time have a Pharah. But if it doesn't fit it doesn't fit your hero pool, generally you'll see anywhere from a Tracer to a Sombra to a Soldier to a Genji as your fourth DPS.
Gotcha.
And then you can play it with one tank and one support, support Mercy. You can play
Yeah.
two supports and no tank, right? So quad DPS and a Mercy Moira. The good thing about that is you can't ever dive anything, right? You try to dive the Mercy. There's 4 different DPS you can kind of just like ping pong back and forth between, and you can't dive a Moira because if she uses Fade correctly, you're gonna have to commit too many resources, right? You'd have to commit not only a Winston, but maybe a Winston and a Tracer. Too many heroes. So Moira is kind of self-sufficient. And if you try to dive up Moira with a Genji or a Soldier or something, they just lose that one doing anyway. So those comps are all really good right now. Something you guys should think about and try to play around with in scrims. But that being said, we'll go ahead and play this. And a lot of it's map dependent too. I'll say that. Like a lot of maps, you just have to play Goat still because it just favors it way too well. And quad DPS can't get the space needed to set up, and they can't accomplish their win conditions.
How do you think the Reaper changes are gonna affect him?
I think it's a nice fun buff, right? But I don't think it really changes anything because the thing with Reaper has always been, if you want a hero who accomplishes Reaper's job but 10 times more efficiently, you just play Hog because like you put Reaper and Hog in a cage at a high level, and the Hog player wins that 1v1 9 times out of 10. And I've seen the buff, and I've seen the video of Reaper being able to heal like 100 health, per shotgun, but it doesn't. You get hooked, you lose the fight against a high level Hog. So it doesn't really change things up at a high level. Reaper's never been a counter to tanks, contrary to belief. Like armor, while it's getting nerfed, has always hurt him quite a bit. Armor will still hurt him quite a bit. I don't think he changes too much, right? He may see some play, but I'm hearing a lot of people say like, "Oh, Reaper's gonna be sick now." I disagree with that completely. I think he'll be occasionally put in every now and then,
I
but
still think McCree's
I think if they
nuts right
tweaked
now,
this, I think if they tweaked this teleporter a bit, it'd be like
I
they
think
need to remake the teleporter ability to make
it needs to be something else. It needs to be something else, or it needs to be 3 times as fast. Like it's just such a bad ability in this game. It doesn't do anything.
What if it was okay? Do you know the concept of like the teleportation from like freaking Team Fortress 2, like with the spell casting?
No,
like,
I've never
what-
played it.
So like one of the abilities is like basically you could send a teleport up forward and then reappear in that spot wherever the teleport lands.
Oh, like Quake, yeah. Quake
Yeah.
does that. That could maybe be good. I don't know. Yeah, just the fact that he's standing still as he TPs is just terrible in a shooter.
Yeah.
Especially the higher up you go in ladder, you just click your head clicked at a exponentially greater and greater, chance every time. So I think he's worse. I think the Diva nerf is huge. I think the armor nerf is great. That makes heroes like Tracer and Moira and Hamster a bit too strong though. So we'll see how they get nerfed or how they change the armor.
Do you think that they're gonna retrig Diva after? Maybe putting it like 1.5 second or something?
I think 2 seconds is overkill. I think 1.5
Yeah.
seconds is like the sweet spot they're looking for. The thing with 2 seconds, and I think how this is going to change for Diva players, is now if you're expecting a grav, you don't try to eat the grav anymore. You try to eat the follow up to the grav. So like you lurk, right, and you let your team get grabbed, and you eat the pulse bomb because you know it's coming in and you know where Tracer's coming from very easily. You eat it, or you eat the dragon because there's a wind up and you can eat that in time. But if you sit there with a 2-second downtime every time you let go of right click trying to eat a grav, all this Zarya is going to do is go, oh, Diva's Matrix is down. I'd have to be an idiot to get my grav eaten now. I'll shoot it in, and then you just get your team grabbed, and you wasted all your Matrix trying to eat it. So I don't think you try to Matrix grab anymore unless it's just 100% telegraphed and the other Zarya sucks.
So what are you gonna run her in goats, or are you like gonna replace? Are you
You'll
gonna play
probably
like
still
Korean
play her.
goats more
Matrix
often?
is like when Matrix is up, it's probably the second or third best cooldown in the game. That isn't an ultimate. It's still really strong, but I don't know. I think next patch hurts goats a ton, and the thing that hurts it the most is the armor nerf. That hurts so much. Like every Tracer bullet now does 2 more damage. Every Soldier bullet does 2 more damage. Every Moira tick does 2 damage. Every Hamster bullet does 2. Like it's so many things just got this insane buff next patch.
Let's just go Lucio
Like I don't even know how that affects shotgun heroes because they don't specifically know how many shells are in each shotgun shot from like a Reaper and a Hog, but every shell does 2 more damage now, so it's really weird how armor is gonna work in this game next patch.
I'm fucked.
Like what would you have to guess, right? They probably do like what 13 shells in a shotgun blast for like.
Depends on.
I can't remember. I counted it out at one time.
It's just crazy. Like everyone will do 2 more.
It's definitely a super high amount of.
Well,
Yeah.
for the individual shells, I think the armor is currently doing like 50% for each one because alone they do less. I don't know. The math is weird when it comes to shotgun weapons. But yeah, the basic premise is like those shotguns.
Yeah, it's
Everything's
good.
gonna hit harder.
Yeah. Anything that shoots fast hurts a lot next patch.
Yeah. So now the tanks are gonna get melted faster.
Yeah. Okay, what's going on here? Playing goats versus goats. They're also playing Zen, I'd imagine.
This
We
area
overextended
went
a
back.
bit. Okay.
20 pellets, by the way.
Oh wow, so 40 extra damage. That's nice.
Could have started maining Zenyatta.
Alright, so they engage first. They didn't get what they're looking for off their engage. We counter engage and punish because we have cooldowns and they don't. That's
Can I ask you a question here?
Yeah.
Where was the Arzen playing? Well, Raiders.
I'd imagine back right towards Elephant or on our
no.
staircase.
Well, no, he's pushing up for early, just during the fight. Because we're looking to like incorporate Zen in our goats, because we don't play him right now.
So are you asking where should he normally be?
Yeah.
Just extremely far back, like so far back
Like
that
at
if
the
the enemy
top?
Ryan. I mean not that far back. You want to be so far back that if the enemy Ryan shatters, your team gets shattered, but you don't, and then you can trance and save your team. You know what I mean? Like that's about
Alright.
that's a good mindset to have if you're the Zen player, and that's what you should do in this patch. Is previous patches, if the enemy Ryan has a shatter, you would never care about that as a flex support. That's your team's job to worry about. Now you're the saving grace. If your team gets shattered, you trance in. You eat the pin. If you look at whoever the Ryan's going to try to pin, and you eat it with your trance, and that's all you have to do. That's all you guys have to worry about, the Zen players.
Mm.
Lime, you're probably gonna get shattered mid-fight here, so if you can get one, look for it. Don't be over aggro.
I'm gonna look for one here.
Run Discord.
Let's kill the Ryan Discord.
I have no mech right now, chill. Nice.
Good. That's a great pick. Almost immediately, we are now calling the next target, right? So we called Ryan. We got to pick on.
Lucio.
I don't know what his actual name is. Yeah, just Lucio. So we're looking to soft reset. Espen wants to rotate over here with the team, so she's not getting hard pressured, or rotate back. The rest of the team is looking to just group up quite a bit. We're very split right now, if you notice this. Ivan and whichever, I think it's Lime who's on main tank right now. Yeah, you guys are very far forward. And it's not necessarily your fault. We just need to say as a team, push on to Ryan, right? And we are calling Ryan right now, so it's not really the tank's fault. It's the players who aren't on top of the tanks. So Espen is rotating over. She's starting to do a good job rotate onto the team. Zin can play far back. That's fine, but we need our diva up here right now.
I'm not in mech. I said that in the VoD. I'm
okay.
So chill. I don't have mech. I don't have mech. They still engaged. So.
Okay. So in that case, we want to play pretty passive. Off this Lucia pick, though, we still want to push into them. That pick means they have no tempo now. Like if they commit in, there's no disengage for them. So we still want to be aggressing quite a bit. Full team should be in their face right now.
I was on the mindset of trying to protect Lime when that was going on. Like he advanced forward. He was trying to call for Ryan, and I pushed forward with him. I did not hear Diva call out. She was at a mech.
Okay.
Yeah, I called it out before they killed Lucio. So.
Yeah, that's the obvious. The only thing Ryan can do in this grab is shatters.
Okay, so now just looking to stall. Rest of the team should be looking to reset. Honestly, I don't know why they continue that fight. That pick you guys got should have set the fight off tempo for them, but they pushed it and it worked out for them. So it's just reinforcing bad habits from their team, and that's fine. We're waiting for group here. No reason to peek at all. They have defender's advantage, so they will always win the trade if we peek. If you're close to ultimates, this is when you can peek pre-fight. Like say we're 95 to your ults, whatever hero you're on. If you peeking right now can edge out that last 5%, whatever. Even though they probably gained 8 and you gained 5 because of their advantage, at least you got your ult out of it. And that's when it makes sense. But whenever you guys are, let's say Diva's 10, Ryan's 20, Zarya's 7. You know, like you guys, you don't ever win that trade because they have crosshairs placed already. Their crosshairs are placed at the choke, so you peek, and before you even have your crosshair on them, you're taking damage. You never win a poke war against a defending team. It's pointless.
You can pop armor this fight here. They're probably gonna have.
So we're waiting to just break LOS, make sure nobody has to wait for heals or cooldowns, and we're gonna WQ the team. Right now, this is where we'll break down Goats a bit, but we're not going to go too far into it because I think Goats is dying, and this is a bit over the level that any team at this level plays at. So it's kind of overkill, but we'll talk about it. When you have control of space, right? When you have control of the point, you have control of the map, and the enemy team is trying to retake into you and take the space back, right? What you can do now is you can play what's called like bait goats, right? You can let them push into your team, and you know, it'll be very telegraphed when they're looking to push in, right? So like right now, they can clearly tell we're trying to push in. We're W keying in. We have a matrix on our Rhine. We just bubbled our Rhine so we can swing. It's very telegraphed that we're looking to W key into them. If they can bubble whatever target that we're trying to engage on, and that target can live the initial burst that we're putting onto that target, we are at a very bad position. Because now we've burned bubble, matrix, amp speed. We've burned so many things trying to get this this win condition, right? We're trying to do or accomplish something, and we didn't get it. And now we have no cooldowns, right? But all they had to do to save that was maybe heal it up a bit, S key, put a bubble on that target that we were trying to rush, and as long as it lived, they can now immediately push back into us extremely aggressively. And they have all this space. They maybe, if they're a top tier team, there'd be a div over here right now hitting from an off angle. There might be a Zarya over here on the right side, just spamming orbs in our back line from an off angle that we can't contest. You know, they're pushing with advantages. Now they're pushing back into us with cooldowns and with advantages. We will now lose this fight. That's how you can play Goats when you have control of the map, is you can play bait, let them come into you, deny that first push, and then hard push back into them once you're ready. When you don't have control of the map, you kind of do have to just W king the enemy team, but you have to do certain things to make sure the W king is effective, right? You can look to play slow, right? If you want to do this, once you get to the point, it's called like inching, like you just inch towards them. If they're playing passive, and we'll call this the midline of the map, right? The middle of the map, because cross maps are symmetrical. If they're playing back and they're waiting for you to rush their Rhine, every second they're slowly giving up space, right? This D.Va player over here, this Zarya player over here, while they can play that from the start of the team fight, if they stay there too long, they're going to start taking free damage. So they're going to start inching backwards, and we can start taking that space away from them. So you kind of want, as this fight starts devolving, maybe our Zarya rotates over here to the left into their D.Va and pushes their D.Va back, and now we retain the space, right? Or maybe we kind of push over here to the right side and hold our shield that way so that the Zarya over there on the right side we talked about from their team can't orb our backline. We want to inch into them and take space whenever we're trying to retake the point. And so we are W king into them, but we're doing it smart, and we're taking away those advantages that they have. If you don't do that, and you just go brain dead and say, okay, let's try to touch point before we take too much damage. Focus Rhine, focus Rhine, focus Rhine, focus Rhine. And you hard rush the Rhine, you know, we bubble line, so we can swing two times, we matrix him so he doesn't take too much damage. You know, Zarya tries to go for a bit of a flank and get some damage off. If that doesn't kill their Rhine, you know, we're at this big disadvantage. So while you can't just play back forever when you're trying to retake the point, obviously, you do need to attack smart instead of just W king directly into their team. Because when they play the mid line like this, right, and they play very passive and very baity, and they're trying to get you to go on the Rhine, you can slowly inch in and take away things from them as you take that team fight. But if you just all W king into their team, what ends up happening, right? There's still a D.Va over here, and there's still a Zarya over here, and they're just pelting your team now. And you're not focusing them, so they're getting way more damage off than normal.
Yeah, they just have cooldown advantage.
Yeah. So again, we'll just to make it quick. When you have control of the map, you can bait. You can do that. If you decide to do that, you can do that. When you don't have control of the map, trying to bait will only work if the enemy team is terrible, right? So generally, you have to W key into them. You have to W key into them smart, because you don't have a lot of time to sit back and let them abuse defender's advantage. So just something to keep in mind. Bait goats is very strong.
Yeah, but it's strictly a defender's advantage, I'm assuming.
Yeah, right. So if 2CP, right? Teams will play goats on Hanamura first, and when you try to attack into them, they'll let you go on their Rhine. They'll save their Rhine, and they'll hard push back into you, and you lose that every time. So you got to be very good about how you W key. Okay. We get a pick on Brig. Let's go back and watch this a bit. They shatter. If we had Trance when the shatter hit, Trance should come out almost immediately. There's no space to wait against goats. If we didn't, okay, you were Trance. I mean, you were shattered. That's fine.
Yeah.
So as soon as you get up, we Trance. They get a pick onto our Zarya, and they pick our D.Va mech, I think.
Yes.
Yes, they do.
Okay. Still have Trance though, so we can potentially pull this out. Then we beat. We got to pick on Moira. The fight is now even. They grabbed us, but Lime got 2 in shatter. Waifu's finishing. We'll win this fight. Wasn't too bad. About even ult economy. We burned about 3 ults. They burned about 3 ults, maybe 4. We come out ahead. That's good. Now immediately, all of you, because Overwatch is a super information-dense game, since we're on point, we're where we want to be, there's nothing else for you guys to do than press tab and pay attention to what else they might have, what else you have, and think very hard about it. And so now we can think about things like, oh, do we want to hide our Brig next fight so we can bash behind their Rhine? Do we want to have our Diva play top and vision split and play very aggressive up here in the front so that they can't focus our Diva and she can play this weird angle and ignore them? Do we want to have our Zen playing over here on a flank angle and just dicking them as they come in, bait them to go on our Zen and hard push them? There's so much stuff you can do, but if we don't press tab right now, you lose out on time to plan that stuff out. We have no ults.
Did we use
We used armor and beat. We used both.
No, they'll have coalescence for sure.
Okay, Mala's gonna have bomb here. So we're looking to go for bomb, speed boost past Ryan and bash. Looking to bomb and pin the Ryan. So we're gonna bubble lime so he can't get CC'd, and he can potentially try to pin their Ryan right before bubble or bomb goes off. You know, we're looking for some way to play off of Malo's bomb because it's their only ult economy right now.
Yep, left.
Bottom left, bottom left, bottom left.
So same thing. We have control of the map right now. We have the option. Do we want to W key in and try to rush them down and brute force them and use goats as insane damage to kill the Ryan in 1 second and hope they fall for it, or do we want to bait? And either one's fine, but you have the option. If we know that they have grabbed Diva Bomb here, what should we not do with our Zarya? What should our Zarya not do if we're expecting them to grab Diva Bomb this fight?
No, probably not waste projected.
No,
Yeah.
yeah.
No bubbles. And that's a tough one for a lot of teams because a lot of teams don't think about that. But if they're coming in to grab Diva Bomb, our only real way at a high level to beat grab Diva Bomb is to keep shields up, put a bubble on both the Zarya and an ally at the same second. And if we have trance, the trance can, or the Zen can pop trance and get himself sucked into the grav in an angle that will block or attempt to help block the bomb. So those are the ways that we counter grav at a high level or counter grav bomb. But you do have to call that. I don't know that they have grab bomb here. They used grab last fight. I don't think their Zarya hard farmed you guys after that.
No.
But so it's not going to be that big of a deal here. But it is something to keep in mind because goats will be pretty prominent for the next couple of weeks at least.
Kill that Ryan, kill that Ryan.
So here we can just
Their
bubble on
Zarya
really
should
when we
have
want to.
died. Their Zarya should have
That's
died.
what I was saying a lot of the times, was that every time that Zarya would cross the Rhine,
Ryan has Discord.
every time that Zarya would cross the Rhine, I try calling her out to like do something about her, but nothing happened.
Okay.
Because she did that multiple times, even like on the first engagement. If you ever saw that, like she just immediately crossed and was like behind us for some reason.
Yeah. And I think it's kind of a misconception too, is a lot of teams when they play goats versus goats, they're just like really hyper focusing the enemy Rhine. But the thing is, if the enemy Brig came forward and went for a bash, right? So she's trying to set up trying to CC a player on your team so their team can rush that player, right? Maybe she went for a bash on your Zarya and they're trying to pressure your Zarya, but they didn't get the kill. Well, now that means Brig has no bash to defend herself. So if we rush the Brig now, only thing that may save her is projected, and we can kill 2 projected on a Brig, right? That's only 450 HP. That's very easy. That's the thing, is if you ever listen to pro players talk about goats, they say you have to be very, very careful about when you play Brig and goats, because if you go for that bash and it doesn't work out, you're probably dead. That's how you should look at it, right? Same thing as Zarya. If you go for a self bubble hard push into them to bait energy, and something that beneficial doesn't come from it, they may call Zarya has no bubble, rush, right? And they can kill you through your own 400 HP and the harmony or whatever you might have. But so it's not just Ryan. It's definitely, you can absolutely go on Brig, absolutely go on Zarya if they push into you and burn their own resource that may keep them alive, right? So if a Brig pushes into you and she didn't burn bash, at a high level, that's probably the Brig baiting. The Brig wants you to think that she's free, so you push her, and then their team will counter push. That's called telegraphing. Same with the Zarya. Zarya may come forward and kind of get kind of aggressive in your face and make your team think she's out of position, but she'd never burned the bubble. So now when you try to rush her, she'll bubble herself, right? That's telegraphing, that's baiting, that's very high level goats. But when a Brig walks into you and she burns bash and it didn't kill anything, your call can now immediately be Brig no bash, rush. Whereas Zarya no self bubble, push. And you can go on those 2 players and ignore the Rhine. That's absolutely fine. You don't have to just tunnel Rhine for sure.
This is unlucky. This is the second time we killed the Lucio beginning of the fight and still lost.
Okay. So they burned Cole. Did they burn Shatter? I don't know what else they burned.
They shattered this and killed our whole team.
Okay, Shatter Cole. Zarya's 100 energy, so she'll come up and grab here. I don't know if they rally.
I have no bomb anymore.
Okay.
We have armor, and I think don't know if we have grab or not. I can't tell.
No.
You shattered coalescence.
So this map has a lot of great angles to push, and nobody ever utilizes them. They just always go through main for some. Like I think it's very easy to get stuck in a tunnel where you just like go main, go main, go main over and over and over. But like bottom is especially good, and it's very rarely used in scrims. Their team's using it quite a bit actually, which is good. You can go bottom, you can go top and drop in, like funnel in, right? Especially against certain ultimates, that's a good play. If you want to get as close to their team as possible before being punished by, let's say, grab Diva Bomb, waterfalling off top can be good. Because now that makes their Diva Bomb kind of awkward if they grab too early. And it puts your team very close to theirs. You can do so much stuff like that. So just running it down main over and over when we don't have any ults is kind of weird.
They're gonna have armor probably. And
I'll keep the endo for Lime.
And maybe a
Because
grab.
we were kind of following him.
They have armor on right
Okay.
now.
So there it is. Both teams burn projected bubble, but or ally bubble, and it just doesn't really do
Lime's
much.
way out there.
Out of position.
Yeah, so he's a Vixen mid.
Play slow. We're gonna get
Supports are shattered. I got out of position.
I'm on Slime place. They have armor on right now. Focus Ryan.
This is a really good quad DPS map right now
Play slow. Lime.
because of all the angles you can hit from.
We're gonna get
Supports are shattered. I got out of position.
I'm on.
Once he dies, you guys, if you get out now, you absolutely can get another fight easily at 68%. You know, every second in cost or every percent in cost is 1.4 seconds. So I think this is 68 on the clock. It's kind of blurry. That's 32 seconds, right? So we're looking at about 45 seconds still left in the map. You can easily get out right now and come back in 45 seconds.
I think we burned a support all here. I think that's why we commit.
Okay, but we definitely shouldn't, right?
Yeah.
Ryan is the biggest hero to lose in
Oh,
Ghosts.
absolutely.
Yeah, so if he dies early, almost all of you guys immediately should have been like, that's it, Eski, get out. And you just like, you pull. I mean, you pull back on the way out. Your Zarya's farming, your Diva's farming, but we try to get out here because we're not going to win a fight goats versus goats without a Ryan, right? If they're a top 2 team, they kill Lime. What they do is they call a stack. Okay, and Ryan's holding shield now, and they have 5 players behind it, and they just push into you, and you can't counter farm them because they're sitting behind shield. So they're just farming you, getting all this ult charge, and the only heroes in your team who may get ults is your supports because they can heal your team.
Yeah.
And you don't get. It's not even going to be close. The amount of ult charge they're going to gain from this fight compared to what you guys are going to gain is insane. So you want to just S-key out as soon as Lime kind of fed here. Yeah, that's the biggest thing to note here.
Moving off the map. Okay.
That's a bad pin from them.
Don't use it.
Yeah, we need to just leave. We are starting to get towards last fight territory where it could be really awkward. What you don't want is you don't want your team to have to like at any point you don't want your team to have to call like someone has to touch. But if your team had to call someone has to touch, you probably waited too late on this fight right here, right? Because your team should feel comfortable walking in as 6, just playing your normal game and knowing like definitively like we'll be able to touch point, no big deal. And you don't even care. Because if you have to call someone has to touch, that means someone on your team has to put themselves out of position. So your chances of winning this fight are already like greatly reduced. So we wanted to die probably about 10 seconds ago. Now they're at 80%. We still have about 25 seconds left in the map. I don't know if we have mech. We don't have mech.
I don't. I got it. I tried to die, but that guy got bubbled on the way out.
Okay.
And he still tried
We just got it.
center there.
Play slow line. Make sure you touch eventually.
I'd start getting really nervous around 90. I think you can wait quite a bit. 90 is like about where I'd be like, okay, we're starting to get to where somebody has to touch, right? Because 14 seconds, it's not 10 seconds. What you'll hear in ranked a lot of the times, and I've been stacking with you guys obviously for the past like week or so, and a lot when I'm like in Diamond, is we'll have 15 seconds left on the clock, and someone on the ranked team, some of the other players that we're playing with might say something like, we need to touch, someone has to touch now, we need to go now. Like 15 seconds gets you a long way in a game. Like you can travel a long distance in 15 seconds. So about 90%, that's where you start, kind of caring on maps like these. But anything before that, it's just stressing your team out is the worst thing you can do.
Yeah.
Do you think this fight would have been different if we took a different path, like at the end here?
It depends on what ult economy they use, so we'll see. And what ult economy we plan to use too. So they grabbed Diva Bomb. We could have went top to counter this. And the pathing from top is about the same speed. And it doesn't like full counter it by any means, but it does set you up for a bit better map geometry to play against it. So they're going to win this fight.
I don't think we would have time just because we were pulling back a little bit, and as soon as Lime came up, we got healed and then went in immediately.
But where you guys were grouping was at Mega, right? That bottom Mega next to your spawn. You guys can pull back for sure.
Yeah.
And I asked them to play slow, but it didn't happen.